Well, my name is Cameryn Moore, and I am doing the Greater Manchester Fringe this year with my solo show, Nerdfucker, a solo play with bad boundaries. It is a combination of drama and comedy. Like most of my shows, it's a mix of moments where you're laughing really hard and then you kind of come down afterwards and like, wait, what just happened? It's terrifying in spots. My character, the one character in the play, and my character is getting ready to be a human chessboard as one of those after hours events at a geek convention. So her boyfriend has set up this whole, chess match. She's helped him out because she's a real chess geek and she knows who to talk to. She's getting ready to do this event, but the time on the postcards is an hour early. So the audience is an hour early and she's not ready for them. And so she's kind of confronted with a room full of people who are waiting to see this match. And unlike me, she's not very much of a performer, but she still feels like she wants to talk to people. So over the course of the hour of the show within the show, the hour leading up to the show within the show, she's talking with the audience about her life and her loves and her passion for geeks, her passion for nerds, that she falls over and over again for these guys who are nerds. And kind of exploring those patterns of falling in love and then becoming codependent and then just really compromising everything for the sake of adoring someone else's passion. So she's going on this whole journey, right? In the meantime, the clock's ticking down and the game's getting closer, and she's getting more and more wound up because her boyfriend, the producer, isn't there yet. And she's really counting on that. She's not the sort of person who would normally do like a human chessboard. So we get closer and closer to the time when the game's supposed to start and he's not there. And so unfortunately, or fortunately I suppose, the audience is there witnessing her kind of spiraling into a panic attack. So I know that doesn't sound that funny, but she wants to make people happy and she's got lots of insight and she's very much the nerdfucker of the title. I mean, that's why the show is called that. She is that. She's had a lot of kind of experience playing around with different pop cultures and different subcultures. And I think most audiences will recognize something of themselves, either in the kinds of things that her boyfriends have gone for or in her own admiration for nerds. I think that's fairly common. Even if you yourself don't identify as a nerdfucker, like, people's passion is attractive. Someone being passionate is attractive. We know this. Like, when people are excited about what they love, people gravitate towards that. So I think a lot of people can identify with that as a kind of a sort of tale of like unrequited love in a lot of cases. And I think as a drama in particular, it really grabs people in ways they weren't expecting because of the title. Very much it's inspired by my own pattern of love relationships. I would say of the guys that I've dated, I would say like 90 to 95% of the dudes that I've been with have been nerds. And it's not something I ever set out, when I was doing, I don't know, online personals or whatever. I never said I was looking for geeks, but that's who I'm drawn to again and again and again. And it's not always the same, it's not the same kind of geeks. This is another point in the play, that if you are passionate about something, you can lose yourself in it. And that's true for so many different things. You have football fans who, by all rights, could be considered geeks. They get into the stats and they get into the uniforms and they get into the fantasy football leagues, like that's so geeky, where you're making up a fake season based on characters who are players in this sport, right? So I would say, like, from my own personal background, I certainly have fallen for people who are very passionate about one thing or another. I'm very drawn to that. There's something very exciting about watching people get revved up about their own thing. I mean, absolutely, that's my life. Yeah. I actually am a late bloomer when it comes to performing. I started writing solo plays when I was 39. I'm now 46. So I've been performing as a solo performer since I was 40. I mean, before that I would do occasional stuff with community theater groups, but I was more directing and doing choreography than performing. Mm-hmm. As a solo performer, it's going on 8 years now. I've written in that time, Nerdfucker is my 5th play. Mm-hmm. I'm working on my next play this coming fall. I'll be working on that after I'm done with the touring season. And I also do, since 2011, so 6 years, I've been doing something called Smut Slam, which is a dirty storytelling open mic. And so audience gets a chance, anybody can come and do it. Yeah. Performers can come and do it, but mostly Smut Slam is about creating a chance for, I would say, like ordinary people, non-performers, to come up and tell dirty stories from their own real life. Yeah. You know, so I would say, like, in some ways, I look at like Smut Slam and I look at the other plays that I've done. Mm-hmm. Those are very specifically around sex and sexuality, and Nerdfucker's a little bit a step beyond, because for one, it's the first time that I've done a whole play in one character who is not me. Because my first 3 plays were autobiographical, right? And my 4th play is not, but it's like monologue, so it's like chopped up into like 6 different characters. This is the first time that I've had to kind of build and maintain and sustain one character who is not me for the whole hour play, right? And it's also, it's not so much about sex. And I know I'm probably shooting myself in the foot by saying this on camera. It's not actually that much about fucking. It's because I know that people are grabbed by the title because of that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think what they understand necessarily is that Nerdfucker is a parallel construction to Starfucker. Have you heard of the phrase Starfucker? A lot of people haven't. It's about groupies, right? People who follow rock stars and hope to get in bed with them. Well, Nerdfucker is meant to evoke that. And what that means, though, is it's less about like the act of it and more about the connection and the dynamic between the desired object and the desirer, the person who desires. So it's Nerdfucker is more about like a relationship dynamic, or I won't say a fetish, but it's more about like it's not about like bumping uglies. It's not about the act of sex. It's about like what is it that drives you to want that in the first place. So it's really more about relationships, interpersonal things, and dysfunction. Because it's one thing to be passionate about something. It's one thing to be driven by that. It's another thing to lose yourself in it. And what kind of compromises that can lead you to do. I think my character says it in the play, it's like she's a geek for geeks. So her passion is geeks. And so in the same way that you can have like a Star Trek fan who completely loses himself into the fandom and it messes things up in their own life because that's all they ever do, my character is so into geeks that she will sacrifice everything. Or will she? So these are the questions that she has to confront. And so I guess I would just say, like, not as a cautionary thing, like there's no fucking, but you know, like there is no fucking, but like it's just it's very much a dramatic work that delves into love relationships and dysfunctional relationships in a way that people might not expect based on the title. Had a fairly eclectic work life. Over time, though, I would say it's been triangulating down to writing and performing my own things. Originally, I started out working in libraries, you know, because I wanted to be close to books. Right? And then I was like, no, I want to be closer than that. So I started doing proofreading and copy editing. And then I was like, no, I want to actually write, but I was afraid to do anything that was really emotional. So I went into journalism and food journalism. And, you know, so over time, slowly, I was kind of like peeling away my fears and insecurities around this and slowly honing in, you know, and by the time I got to the community theater, I was creating all this work for other people. And my community theater thing imploded in a way that it happens with, you know, like creative differences that happens all the time. And like, you know, so when that imploded and I was left with like this one play that I'd been working on for myself, Phone Whore, I said, well, at least I have this. But that turns out to be exactly the thing that I was supposed to have done. You know, so I can't regret any of the time that I didn't do this. I mean, sometimes I look at like, younger performers and I think, I wish I'd gotten started earlier. What would I have done if I'd gotten started earlier on this performance track? But then that never would have led me to have the life experiences that I had that made it possible for me to write about these things in the first place. So I try not to spend too much time on regrets. I try to be grateful for my good health and relative like energy levels that I can do this. I'm a middle-aged lady, right? I don't even think this anymore, but that's what it is. And it's like, no, I'm glad that I found what I wanted to do now. You know, because performing is a rough profession. It's a rough field, and you have to have the energy and drive for it, and B, it's like, I suppose you could start like Georgia O'Keeffe did when she was 87 or whatever, but like that's awfully late to start performing. I don't know. So I found it now when I still have the energy and I've got lots to say. Things are very much up in the air. I have been here. I'm here now currently on a creative workers visa. I was hoping to settle. I was hoping to renew a couple times and then settle here. I'm going to have to leave the country because of your country's fantastic immigration laws. I'm going to have to leave the country and come back in probably at the end of this year or after Edinburgh Fringe. So after August. I'll have to leave and then apply for a fiancé visa is what it looks like. I have a partner here who I met when I was doing Fringe touring in 2014. So yay Fringe for bringing lovers together. So in 2014 we met and we've been doing the long distance relationship thing. Because we were going to do that in any case, but I think we were hoping for a little longer in terms of me working and saving up the money. But now it's like, nope, we need to. So I have to leave the country. I'll be in Berlin for the fall at least, for fall and early winter, doing whatever I can performance-wise there, and then. But my goal is to settle in the UK. So yeah. I don't. For now, at least, I don't know how things are going to go with your politics. It's messed up. It's messed up. I don't think I'm saying anything that surprises anybody here. Brexit is fucked up. What the fuck were you thinking? Anyway, but for the time being, there is room here in the UK for my work. There is interest in my work, and geographically speaking, it is a small enough space where I can travel and not and do lots of work in a small space. Like in Canada, in the US, like you have to drive a long way between cities sometimes. So I remain convinced that the UK is the place for me to be. I've gotten really good responses here since I started touring in 2013 to the UK. So I'm hoping that Nerdfucker lands well.